Okay, we are ready. So if you have a goal that you want to accomplish in the month of April, we got to talk about goals, because if you are the kind of person who you set a goal and you almost never reach it, it's not because you're lazy, and it's not, I forgot the other line, and it's not because you lack discipline. It's because you lack the right system that actually sets you up to make the choices that you need to make in order to reach your goals. Most goals are within reach, which can be really hard to believe sometimes, but I'm going to talk you through the pieces that you need to actually reach goals, because we want to create this kind of pressure, crunch. We want to set you up with the right dynamics, not to put a bunch of pressure on your life that just adds like a million little to-dos to your to-do list and sets you up for burnout. But I want to set you up with the right pieces so that you can say, this is what I want to make happen this month. Talking about the month of April, obviously you can apply this to any month, but talking about April 2026, I want you to be able to say, this is what I want to make happen, and I want it by April 31st. How many days are in April? I think it's April 31st. Nope, April 30th. And so by April 30th, I want to accomplish this, and I want to actually get there with having my sanity intact. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, if you're a Christian woman and there's something on your heart that you want to do for God, and maybe the first step is that you need to declutter your home or sell your home, or it's that you need to just start committing to reading your Bible every day. Maybe it's that you want to write a book, or you want to write music. Whatever it is that is on your heart to do for the kingdom of God, grab the On Purpose planner in the description of this video, and I'm going to help you figure out this few simple steps. It's basically what I'm talking about in this video, but we're applying that system to the month of April. Okay, so the story for this video was inspired by a conversation with my mom where we were talking about a whole bunch of things, as mothers and daughters tend to do. And she was saying, so my parents sold their house 5 years ago, and they will either visit different siblings, like my siblings who live in different places around the world, or they will just go and live in different places around the world and rent somewhere for a couple months at a time. So their lifestyle is every few months they're on a plane. And it's really interesting because we were talking about this and how they have, because of the lifestyle that they've chosen, they have this like natural crunch where they will go on, she was saying like how one plane or airline, to go from one destination to the next, one airline will allow them, maybe 2 bags and 50, they can be 50 pounds each. The next airline will only allow 1 bag, and maybe it can be 100 pounds, but it's only 1 bag. And so their rhythm creates this like natural crunch where they either have to choose to, okay, are we going to pay the fee, or are we going, in order to have more bags, or are we going to narrow our possessions down to basically the minimum amount for airlines, right? So that they could just say we're going minimal, and then we know that our bags can work no matter where we go. And so their lifestyle creates this crunch where they have to be really picky and choosy about what they bring with them and how valuable these different items are. And that kind of crunch causes you to look at items through a totally different lens. It's not something that you can just say, oh, whatever, we'll just throw it out in the back shed or put it in the basement and deal with it down the road. Their lifestyle causes them to look at every single possession that they own and analyze, is this worth taking with us? And so it causes them to look at their life and their lifestyle and their stuff through a totally different lens. They're asking totally different questions, and they have to make uncomfortable decisions. And so they have this natural time crunch that a lot of us don't have. And so when we're setting when we're talking about goals at the end of April, right? We're giving ourselves, assuming you're starting kind of April 1st, you can start now and get a head start. But if you're starting April 1st and then you're looking at the end of April, you're giving yourself a time frame. That's a crunch. You're giving yourself a goal. That's a crunch. And what we want to apply, because what most of us do is we set a goal, we have a time frame, and we think that's enough, and then we just go as hard as we can to try to get that done. And then we come to a whole bunch of unhelpful conclusions thinking, oh, we didn't do it well enough. I should have pushed harder. I should have blah, 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 blah. And then it would have happened. But that's typically not the case. So what we want to do is apply questions. We want to just ask some really specific questions and look at the time frame / goal from specific angles so that you can be set up to reach your goals. And so I want you to think of that thing. I was going to give a list of, well, you could do this or this or this, but I want you to think of what is that thing that is on your heart that you have really been wanting to make happen. And maybe it's like a yucky thing where you're just like so sick of all the extra stuff in your house and you just want that extra layer gone because you're tripping over it all the time. So whether it's something you really want to remove from your life or it's something that you really want to make happen in your life, there's a certain kind of result that you really want to see happen. I want you to name what that is and just keep that in mind. Okay, so we want to start asking better questions with that thing that you want to make happen. But if you want help beyond this video, then grab the On Purpose Planner in the description below, because we're just basically taking this whole concept but the On Purpose Planner has more structure to it. Okay, so with that in mind, what we want to do is we want to ask better questions, right? Again, it's not just about giving it a really big push and hoping that all your natural habits are enough to get you to finally reach that goal. We want to ask questions, look from a different angle, which is asking a question is causes you to look from a different angle. But when you ask different questions, it says, what kind of behavior do I need to adopt? What kind of thinking do I need to adopt in order to reach this goal? Because if you haven't reached it yet, everything you naturally already do is most likely not going to get you where you want to go. And so if there is something that is important, and it doesn't have to be big, it can be like a really small thing that you just consistently want to do every day, like taking vitamins at the same time every day. You might say, by the end of this month, I just want to take my vitamins every morning, and that can be your goal. But what we want to do is to ask questions that cause us to see things differently. And I'm going to use the example of downsizing because that's what my parents had to do before they moved and are living the lifestyle that they're living now. But they had to not just downsize half their stuff; they downsized everything. And so it took several years, but let's say in 1 month, you want to downsize half your stuff, which I know is not going to be something that most of us are going to do, but I'm going to use this extreme example to prove a point. Because if you have to get rid of half your stuff, so if all you say is, I want to get rid of half my stuff, and you don't have any time frame, you're going to, that might be something that you really want to see happen. But if there's no crunch or time frame, then it's going to be like, well, I'll run a garage sale and then I'll just kind of like sell stuff that way, or I'll sell stuff online, or I'll give stuff away to people. But then throughout that whole process, however long that ends up taking, you're going to still be buying stuff. If that's been a habit, you're still going to be taking stuff from people. Everything is going to be an emotional based decision. And every item you pick up, it's like, well, do I like it? Yeah, I kind of like it. It makes me happy. So you know what, I'm going to keep it, because there's no time crunch. You're not being forced to ask things or look at things from a different angle. Whereas when you set that time crunch, all of a sudden you're saying, okay, I want to get rid of half my stuff. I have emotional attachment to most of my stuff, or I have decision fatigue when I start going through too many items and I'm asking too many questions. And so if I'm going to make this happen in 1 month, what choices do I need to make? And if it was me, I would be saying, there's not time to run a garage sale. I do not have the energy to try to run a garage sale and get rid of that amount because like, that's a lot. Just to like try to move this stuff out of the house and post it and sit there and try to sell it. And so then I'm like, you know what? I have to just let go of the couple $100 I could make. Instead, I'm going to pick like the top 20 items I want to sell and I'll sell it online. And then everything else just has to go. I'm going to take pictures and ask my family if they want stuff. If they don't, it's just like, it has to keep moving. I'm not going to try. I have to let go of trying to find the perfect home for every item. I have to let go of trying to make a bunch of money out of this. I have to let go of the, knowing that there's going to be a huge category of stuff that is just emotionally hard. And so just even learning to identify that and say, if I want to succeed at this, what am I going to what choices am I going to have to make? And even already then you're starting to prep yourself to make certain choices that where your emotions and just like the different fears that are coming up, you're kind of already just prepping yourself to walk through that when the time comes, knowing that you are going to have to make a choice that your emotions and your feelings are going to fight against. But you have to make this choice. Either you create a plan that is without if you don't give yourself this limit with having a goal and a time frame, then you might have a goal, but it's all going to be emotion-based decisions, and you are hands down, you're wasting your time because it's all going to be just emotional. It's like, do I feel like this? Am I in the mood to do this? I'm tired. I'm just going to go watch a movie, and it's just you're setting yourself up for frustration. Whereas if you're setting yourself up with a goal and a time frame, you can start asking the right questions that help you do the process. And you're asking the questions that's helping you make the choices that you need to make in order to take the action you want to take. But it's also, you want to be looking at it and saying, how can I get this end result in as few steps as possible? This question is gold because there is with absolutely everything that it's like, I don't know how it is, but you know how like, or how this works, but you'll have two people doing the exact same job. And one person is so efficient, they can get a job done in 1 hour. The next person, they're going to take a whole day to get the exact same result. And it's like, how does that work? Where just sometimes it's just weird, right? And sometimes it's that we're just geared differently. And so when you're setting yourself up to ask these kinds of questions, you're setting yourself up to go from the person who does a job in 24 hours to becoming the person who does that exact same job in only 1 hour. So it's you're asking questions before you even start touching the stuff. You're asking questions to say, how can I do this in as few steps as possible? What choices do I need to make? And sit down and like make choices with a cup of coffee before you're even touching it. Because once when it comes to downsizing, once you're touching your stuff, it's like the brain just gets all muddled. So you need to have a plan beforehand and work through a lot of this stuff in your head so that when the time comes to record, like even when I'm to record, I was going to say, no, to get rid of stuff. Then I was going to talk about how with the video when I'm recording, I do a lot of the pre-prep and pre-thinking how I want to structure it so that when it comes time to record, then I can just like go through because I've got the thoughts. I'm not trying to organize things in my head so much. And so there's that pre-prep work that you do with the thinking, the decision-making, the asking the different questions. You can clear out hours of work with whatever it is you're working on. You can clear out so much effort, so much wasted time, so much wasted money. And just this is where you're removing the burnout by looking on the front end and saying, what can I handle? What, if I want to reach this goal, what choices do I need to make in order to keep my sanity intact? What is the process that I want to, like, how do I want to approach this? How do I, like, what do I need to set myself up with to make this happen? And so I hope you can see that it's not just about setting a goal and a time frame. and giving one big push to make something happen. You want to approach it strategically. And in my opinion, the best way to do that is to ask questions, because questions cause you to look at it from a different angle. And it's sort of like if you think of, you've got this thing you want to do, and someone else who's really good at doing this thing comes in and they've done it for years. They know how to do it. They have the angle and the perspective that helps them just tackle that project really efficiently. You kind of, clearly haven't done this for years from this angle, but asking questions sets you up to just sort of like walk at it from a different angle with a different perspective, and to make the choices that will keep you from burning out and keep you from having yet another goal that you couldn't reach and feel like a failure at. Your goals are within reach. And yes, I know that saying I'm going to get rid of half my stuff in 1 month is sort of like, that is a huge goal, but it is possible. It means you have to be really ruthless and really picky, and you can't do things the slow way or the emotional way, but it is possible. And some people have a choice like that thrown on them. They don't choose that. I want to set you up to be able to choose and be intentional with your goals, so that, which is just, it's a lot nicer when we can choose the things we want to make happen before something gets thrown on you. When you can choose to live a healthier lifestyle before you get sick, and then you're forced to have to figure it out immediately. Choose it now, and use the month of April, use the month of May, the month of June, whichever month, whenever you're watching this, use that next month to reach a goal that you want to reach, and challenge yourself to not just come at it with all of your past habits, but to ask questions that set you up to do the work that you're wanting to do, and to do it in a way with as little effort as possible. Okay, so like no one gets brownie points for more effort. You get points for reaching the goals, and all the little goals along the way. So if you're the kind of person who just feels like you should get a pat on the back because you're putting hours and hours and hours into something, no brownie points there. You just reach the goal. Just get to that end point as quickly and efficiently as possible. And all that to say, I always do this where I'm like, and then thinking that my brain's going to go into the next thought, and there is no next thought. So, and nothing. All right, so to end, you're going to pick your goal. What's that thing that you actually really want to get done? And it can be huge and audacious, like getting rid of half your stuff, or it can be something as simple as saying, I just want to take my pills every morning. Then you're going to choose a time frame, which with this video, we're talking about April 1st to April 30th. And then you're going to sit down and ask questions that set you up to do this from a totally different angle, so you can set yourself up for the most success. All right, let me know in the comments if this was helpful. And if you want more help with this beyond this video, then grab the On Purpose Planner in the description below. We don't do this within a month time frame or a year. We're looking at 3 months at a time, because that's sort of that sweet spot that helps you really reach for something big and gives you enough time to move through all of just those choices and the emotions and the pushbacks and the pitfalls, but also gives you enough time to really get traction and make something huge happen. So if that's for you, then grab that On Purpose Planner, totally free, in the description below. And lastly, remember to read your Bible, get lost in the story of God, and play your part. And I will talk to you soon.